Good morning, students. So let's continue with software testing life cycle. So we have seen till now is that testing is not a single activity, rather it is a process which is called as software testing life cycle, that is SDLC. Right? So quickly summarizing the basics and then we'll move ahead to the process in detail. Software testing is recognized as a process like SDLC. The testing process is divided into well-defined sequence of steps and is termed as software testing life cycle. The major contribution of SDLC is to involve the tester at early stages of software development, and thus more number of bugs will be uncovered. At the probability of uncovering the error will be more in the initial stages rather than it gets propagated to the later phase and cost increases. So this is a very, you can say, the benefit of having this SDLC in place. We can start testing at the early stages and we can identify maximum possible errors in the initial stages only. Just a prevention policy. Then the significant benefit that is achieved is in the effort, less effort will be required. Time and cost. We can reduce all the three if we are properly implementing this SDLC process along with SDLC. Then SDLC helps the management in measuring the specific milestone. So after each phase we can have a milestone in the form of a verification, and then we can tell how much of the work is being completed and is it moving as per the plan or not. Right? So this is what measurement, which is going to help the management. Then coming up to the phases of SDLC, we have 4 phases in the process. The first one is known as test planning, test designing, test execution, and post execution, or we also call it as test review. So diagrammatically, if we explain this, what exactly is test planning? We need to identify this test strategy. We'll also see what this strategy means actually. We'll be working on verification and validation here based on factors in different phases. Then size of the test cases, this is also important. Duration, that is time required for testing. The cost required for testing. What are the risks possible? We need to identify all those risks. And the responsibility of different people whosoever is involved in the testing. So this is what has to be planned here in the test planning, and we prepare a test plan document here where all these activities will be mentioned out here. Then test designing actually means generating the test cases and the procedures required. For this we have different methodologies, static and dynamic techniques. In dynamic we have white box and black box testing techniques, and for the white box and black box have a number of methods to design these test cases. Right? So this is very important. We'll be doing the test designing techniques in the later lectures. Test execution is whatever test cases you have identified, now you have to execute or implement these test cases on the software that you are developing and execute it and identify the bugs and everything, whether you have to prepare the test summary, error report, test report and everything. All the metrics needs to be prepared here. And finally, post execution or test review, whatever bugs you have reported, now you are supposed to resolve it and you have to give the feedback to the previous phases. So this is what a SDLC is. Right? We'll go into details now. The test planning. The goal of test planning is to take into account important issues of testing strategy like resources, schedules, responsibilities, risk, priorities as a roadmap. And what we exactly do is, test planning issues are in tune with the overall project planning. So you have to prepare the plan as per the overall project plan. It cannot be contradictory with that. Then broadly, what are the activities that are a part of test planning is, we define the test strategy, estimate the number of test cases, their duration and cost based on priority, plan the resources like manpower to test, tools required, documents required and everything that is a part, identifying the areas of risk, defining the test completion criteria, because you must know the stopping criteria, we cannot go for infinite testing cycles, identification of methodologies, techniques and tools for various test cases, that depends, it varies, so you have to take care of this, and identifying reporting procedures like bug classification, databases for testing, bug severity level, and project metrics. So there are few new terms we'll be discussing now and few other terms which are common, so that can be easily understood. Now, based on the planning issues as discussed, analysis is done for various testing activity. Now you analyze, right? And the major output, it will be a test plan document. Now, test plans are developed for each level of testing, right? Now, what we analyze, the following activity will be develop a test case format. Right? In the previous slide, you have to develop the test cases. You need to identify, estimate the number of test cases. But how to develop it? What should be the, like you can say, the titles or the fields present in a test case? That format has to be identified. Then develop test case plan according to every phase of SDLC. It's not that it is not sync with the overall project. That has to be in sync with SDLC. Identifying test cases to be automated if applicable. Not all test cases can be automated. We have seen earlier also, automation cannot replace manual things. We have to carry out manual things also, and few things can be automated. Then prioritizing the test cases according to their importance and criticality. It's not that you are prioritizing as per your need. As per the system's need, you have to prioritize them. Then define areas of stress and performance testing. Okay. And plan the test cycles required for regression testing. So regression testing is something where it is actually a part of maintenance, where we need to check the modules which are not supposed to be changed, whether they are changed while you are making a change in some other module, right? So that is regression testing, where you have to repeat all or you have to carry out testing again. Entire thing needs to be tested. That is regression testing. So you have to plan the test cycle, how you are going to perform that regression testing also. Second step is test designing. So what does test designing means is determining the test objective and their prioritization, the first step, right? Then second step says is you have to identify the test data that will be required and the test cases and their specification. Basically, we have to design these test cases and what is their specification. That becomes the most important part of test designing. And once you have generated these test cases, now you have to test case procedure specification means how you are going to now run these test cases in order to get the required output, right? So this is what a sequence of activities. Just quickly summarizing, we have to determine the test objective and the prioritization. What we are supposed to do for this is preparing list of items to be tested, mapping items to the test cases, that is important, and selection of test case design technique. We have white box and black box technique. At least 5 or 6 techniques are there in both the categories, in the black box also and white box also. So which one is applicable there? You need to identify that, right? Then creating the test cases and the test data, setting up the environment and the supporting tools which are required, and creating test procedure specification, right? This is test designing. Then comes is test execution. In this phase, all the test cases are executed, including verification and validation. Verification test cases are started at the end of each phase of SDLC, while validation, after the completion of a module, we validate that module. It is a decision of the testing team to opt for automation or manual testing, depending upon several criteria. And finally, the test results are documented in the form of test incident reports, test logs, testing status, and testing summary reports. So we have summarized this with the help of a diagram. The list of documents that are prepared is test incident report. So incident is summary. You have to prepare the symptoms report, test log, and test summary report. Right? Incident is the symptoms we have done in the last lectures. The test execution level. Now we have different levels of testing like unit, integration, system, and acceptance testing. So whose responsibility is to perform this? Unit testing is actually done by the developers, that is the coders actually. Because whenever you code like your program, you test it there itself. So it is done by the coder or the development team members. While integration testing is performed by the testers and the developers both. System testing by tester, developers, and end users will be involved because as a whole complete system needs to be tested by the customer or the end users. And acceptance testing is actually done by the end users and the testers. So this is what the test execution, quickly summarizing it, because now in the later chapters you will find we are going to work on these. We'll be like identifying the important prospects, and then we are going to discuss all those in detail. Then comes this post execution or a test review. After successful test execution, the bugs will be reported to the concerned developers. Now you remember from the bug life cycle, wherever we fix the bug, then it has to be reported, right, to the concerned development team members that we have corrected it. Now you have to either that stage where there you have to do that. So this phase is to analyze bug related issues and get feedback so that maximum number of bugs can be removed. As soon as the developer gets the bug report, he performs the following activities. So once you have identified the bug, you assign it to the you can say the development team members. Developer team members fix it and then again give it to the tester to verify whether it is being fixed or not. If it is fixed, then close state comes, else reopen state comes. So if you remember the bug cycle, you can go through the previous lecture, you will find it there. So understanding the bug, reproducing the bug, that means tester has to reproduce the bug to confirm whether actually this is happening in his environment also or it is in the development team member's environment. Then analyzing the nature and cause of the bug and accordingly perform the debugging and reporting it to the testing team members. So this is what exactly giving the feedback to the team. So this is all about your SDLC. Thank you.